very highly anticipating the scan tomorrow. I want to know what the blood work is. I want to know like how I'm responding, if I'm responding. Like I want to hear that because I feel like that's the first step, and then that kind of like sets the tone for the rest of the stems. And then I go back again on Sunday, so we'll see. It just goes really fast. She's got like 22 follicles. I don't expect to have that many. If the 7 I have continue, I'll be okay with that. I'll be okay with that. Thanks for clicking on Simply Tanika. I am Tanika. If you are new here, welcome. Hit that subscribe button. Let's hang out a while. If you are returning, welcome. What's up, fertility fam? We gotta do what? Let's get those babies, ladies. I see the crystal raindrops fall and the beauty. Hey fam, how are you? Today is Thursday, November 15th. It's crazy. I wasn't gonna vlog today. It's like 8 o'clock at night. And I debated, and then I randomly watched Phil and Alex and Phil, and they did a nighttime vlog, and I was like, I'm just gonna hop on here because I have a lot on my mind. So a couple of things are happening. One, it's snowing in New York. Like not a little bit, a lot of it. If you follow me on Instagram, you saw me out there. Like I was drenched. So that's happening, which I think that's a sign. I don't know. When I was in school, I had an English lit, like community college back home. I had an English lit teacher, Bill Riddlesberger, who used to say like rain and snow is like penetrating the earth. He always made sexual references, which is random because I knew he had an affair with one of my relatives, but that's another story. Hopefully he's not alive anymore. He was super old back then. Anyway, but yeah, the penetration. And so I was thinking like the day that I went in for my scan, it was raining. Remember like my baseline scan. And then it snowed overnight. And so tomorrow, but usually like the snow is all of you know, you've got all the crops up, like even the blueberries and whatnot, which are in season right now. You've gotten them up. Everything is underground. All the work that you've done has kind of gone underground. And I feel like that's what's happening with my eggs is like all the work that I've done, they're underground and they are just waiting for, the seasons to change, right? And so then when spring comes, it like starts growing. We're speeding it up because of the medication. So spring is going to be next week and we'll see how well they grew. But I don't know why that just sort of resonated with me. And so, yeah, that's what I'm going with. I am making dinner. I'm doing regular food, as Cheyenne said. I'm doing rosemary potatoes, chicken, and the skinny asparagus. I don't know if they have like a name. Pencil asparagus, I think is what they are. I'm doing that. She made fun of me because she was like, are you doing real potatoes or cauliflower? And I was like, no, real potatoes. So they're red potatoes. I'm not doing food restrictions. I was better about my water today. I think I got 2 liters in. I would like to get 1 more. So I was much better today. And just gonna do like another smoothie, I think with avocado, spinach, and like some maca and good fertility stuff. I did work out this morning. I got in 30 minutes. Didn't get in as much as I wanted. I thought today I'd get to, do a long day of exercise, like 2 hours, but I'll do that on Saturday. I slept. I was tired. I told you guys last night I was tired. I went to bed after my shot and I slept probably until, I think the first alarm went off. That's the honking. They're backed up out there. I'll show you guys in a second. My first alarm went off like, I think at 7 o'clock. I didn't actually get out of the bed till 8. So, and I probably went to bed at 11:30 right after my shot. So I got over 8 hours of sleep, which is unusual for me, but I'm listening to my body and going with it. This is a vessel. I've been talking to the babies. I was, talking to Genesis earlier while we were texting, and I told her, you know, she was like, I see 2 babies. I was like, me too. I don't know if they're twins or not because it could just be the 2 eggs, but I've been talking to them. I know their names. I have their initials. And so I told her the initials are DDM for both the boy and the girl. And she, you know, she's crazy. She was like, I need their initials to be ASAP. And I was like, okay, we'll work with that. But yeah, she's getting ready to go on a cruise. So safe travels, honey. She's already probably back by the time she is post. But anyway, she's out and about and keeping me in good spirits. And Verkosha from Lifelong Commitment with the Alexanders have been keeping me in good spirits. So yeah, I'm actually not stressed. I'm excited now. Like, I don't know how to explain it. And maybe excitement may not be the right word. I am highly anticipatory, highly anticipating the scan tomorrow. I want to know what the blood work is. I want to know like how I'm responding, if I'm responding. Like I want to hear that because I feel like that's the first step. And then that kind of like sets the tone for the rest of the stems. And then I go back again on Sunday. So we'll see. I have to get up and do that, and then I should be on time for my AED CPR training, and the AED is a defibrillator, and then the CPR is, I don't know, where you resuscitate, which I think is good. There's a separate one they do for infants, and I'll probably take another one. I took one when Cheyenne was little, but this one will be like a nice entree back into it, if you will. I will do that and have get a certificate in that, and then I'll figure out. Yeah, but I'm getting excited. My house is hotmess.com. That half of the house is not so bad. The table is a mess, and I have a bunch of shredding I want to do. I want to get things organized. I mentioned I'm off next week, so I definitely want to get my bedroom and my closet organized. I want to set up a place where I can have the crib. I think I showed you guys the crib before. I'm doing like half crib for co-sleeping, so it will slide up against the bed. And basically it just becomes like an extension on the bed, but then it also can slide up against the wall. So I want to have like a little area for that and a little dresser. So thinking about those things, talking to the babies, and again, I don't know if they're coming at the same time, but they're inside of mommy right now. And so I'm talking to them, whether they are, one born and then 12 months later, 16 months later, the second one's born, or they're both coming at the same time. I don't know, but I know they are both inside of me. So I'm talking to them, telling them that I love them and that I'm doing good things to take care of them, and just being connected with my body overall, which is nice. I talked to Blue earlier. He was going to play out in the snow and walk around in the park. I love making snow angels. I didn't get to do that today because it was already dark when I got off, but hopefully there's still snow and clean snow on Saturday when I hang out with him and we can make snow angels. I don't know if I told you guys this. When we went to Target, I had to get the teething rings because I wanted those for my shots, and he kind of rolled his eyes and was like, can't you just use an ice cube? And I was like, no, because it's going to stick to my skin. And anyway, we went over there, and it was funny because coming out, they had like this little sweater. I don't know if it's like a fisherman's sweater or it's some kind of, or a Shetland sweater, Irish sweater, I don't know. Anyway, they had a child version, and he like stopped and admired it and was like, oh, I have one of these. And I was like, yes, they have cute clothes at Target. It was just a cute moment. And I imagined that baby boy will have one too. He's going to be a sharp dresser. She's going to be a sharp dresser no matter what. So, yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to have the baby here and to dress the baby. First, we got to get the baby on board. So I'm really just focused on that and taking care of myself. Like, I haven't stressed myself. When I wanted to sleep, I slept. I've been eating really well. I've been exercising. So I think we're in good shape. Tomorrow, I will not get to get up and exercise just because I have to be at the clinic at 8 o'clock. And y'all know I am not a morning girl. But I have yoga tomorrow night. And I sent her a note that I'm stimming. And so I can't do like anything too bendy at the waist, but like laying, and it's restorative yoga. So if she just is going to pick 2 poses for us to rest in, and she'll modify it for me. It's a very small class. I know some of you guys ask, how come I never take the camera? There's only like 4 of us in the class. She does it in her apartment. I can't really film in there. And it's kind of like a sacred space. Like, I don't want to be worried about angles, and if it's makes sense to you guys, like, I just want to be taken away. So that's why I don't ever film in there. But anyway, I'm going to do that. She'll adjust for me. That should be good. And then I'm going to come home. So tonight, I'll film the shots tonight. I want to talk about that because someone else had questions about it. Putting on the ice pack. I'll do it all properly tonight. Menopur still burned last night. Someone said to put it in slower and it wouldn't burn. It still burned. It's not crazy. It's just uncomfortable. It's not like, ow, ow, ow. It's just like heat. And it's not even heat, like if you bite into a jalapeno that's, hotter than you think. It's not even that hot. It's just like a discomfort, like a warm liquid, stingy liquid going into your leg. So, yeah. Oh, and somebody asked me, I did the unpacking video posted today, and someone was asking, why is the Menopur in an ice pack or not in an ice pack? Menopur is meant to be refrigerated, and I double checked this. I went on their website. It's meant to be refrigerated or in a cool, dark place. But cool, dark place, temporary. I don't have any cool, dark places as of now because it's colder now. So the heat is cranking in the apartment. So all of the places that are dark are not cool. If this would have been earlier in the year, it would have been cooler in here, but we're cranking the heat. So I guess in the video, it looked like my stuff was not in an ice chest. Everything that was in that box was in an ice chest, and maybe it's the way that I edited the video, but basically it was an ice chest with a box on the outside of it. And so when I opened the box, I just took the lid off of the ice chest. Everything in there was in ice. I mean, even the needle holder, the sterile pads, all of that was packed in with ice. And so the stuff that was, yeah, and it's, the rest of it is in the refrigerator. The stuff that needed to be refrigerated is in the refrigerator. So although the gonal F says to inject at room temperature, so I take that one out first and leave it sitting, which is why I inject myself with the Menopur first and then the gonal F, just to give it time to get to room temperature. Again, it's super warm in here, so I'm assuming room temperature is like a normal room and not the hotness that is my house. So yeah, that's kind of that on the meds. If you guys have any other questions about the meds, let me know down below. I'm learning every day. And my dosage, that was another question. So my dosage is 450 IU of the gonal F and then 300 of the Menopur. So that's why I'm doing 2 packets of the Menopur. They're 150 each. And then 450, so my pins are 900 per pin. So I get to use the pins twice, right? 2 times. One on one day, one on the other to get to the 900. So that's kind of that with the meds. I don't have the instructions yet on when I use like the doxycycline. I still don't have the Novorel. I've had a million conversations with those guys today. The one pharmacy didn't have it. The second pharmacy, the e-script was not going through. They wouldn't take it over the phone. They're in Georgia. The only other option was a hard copy, which ain't nobody got time for that. So we moved it to, I called again Sherry who was in charge of like medication prescriptions going out at Columbia, said she would send it to, Metro, which is a New York fertility pharmacy, Metro, and the other was Z Chemist is the one I use. She said, let's just send it to both and see if they have it. I called Z Chemist and they go through a vendor, they order it, and she looked it up in her system and she said 2 of the vendors don't have it, 1 of them does. I need 2 of them because I need to get to 10,000, and the way that Novorel is packaged, it's 1 package has 5,000, so you need 2, and those are intramuscular because I was like, I have Avidril, but the Avidril is subcutaneous, so that's the one shot that's going to have to go in my buttocks through the muscle, which I'm a little scared to do that one, so I'm gonna have to look at some videos. I know I've seen you badass ladies do it. I just gotta I gotta look at it. I believe one of those intramuscular shots is what Butterfly Poet injected herself with when the blood came out, and that's freaking me out. But I'm gonna try to aim for the top. And then a lot of you guys had said, why don't you go and have Blue do your injections every night? No. First of all, we don't live in the same residence, as you know. Getting up there and back every night would just be crazy, and it has to be around the same time. I'm doing it at 11:30 because that made sense for my schedule. So to trek up there to get a shot and trek back to get a shot at 11:30 and come back home, that it just doesn't really make sense. And no offense to all the ladies who have happy husbands who are injecting medicines, that would just be nerve-wracking for me, quite frankly, to do it every night. I see the men doing it and they're like kind of shaking and fumbling, especially like the first time. My anxiety is too high for me to do that. Like, I would freak out. What I have control over is myself, and that gives me a little bit of anxiety, but not as much. It's the same thing like even with driving a car. If I'm driving, I'm fine. If someone else is driving, it freaks me out. I want to be the one in control. So it's just easier for me to do it. Like, I see some of these videos and the men, their hands are shaking and they're like, I just like, no, not gonna do it. Not gonna do it. And the injection part is not hard. It's the mixing, I think, that's a little more nerve-wracking. As I do it, I get a little more comfortable each time. But the the injections, so I'm gonna do those myself. Let's see if we can come over, because I said I'd take you to the window. It's so dark out though. There we go. Can you guys see that? So those are all the cars that are backed up, which is why I'm sure you've heard the honking. Oh, there's a lot of light coming in. There we go. See that? They're all, I mean, it didn't snow a little bit. It snowed a lot. Look at the inches on the top of those cars. But that traffic is bad. It's been there since I came home, and they're just like honking and doing all sorts of tomfoolery. But yeah. Cool, right? Hello, New York. So yeah, that's kind of what's going on. I have the oven on. Sorry, now I just looked at myself because I was trying to look at the light. No, I'm distracted. I have the oven on for the potatoes. I'm going to go and get that started, and then I'll see if I can drag Cheyenne out and we can have dinner with you guys and chat up a little bit. I'm curious as to her thoughts on this process, and maybe she'll share some of that with you guys as well. She's seen me do the injections. Well, you guys saw that video, but yeah. I don't know, you guys. Now it feels like it's going super fast. I thought I was going to get to be cycle buddies with June, one of the fam who we connected on Instagram. But she was like 3 days ahead of me, and she's already gone in for her second scan. Like, they think they're triggering her on Sunday, and I haven't even gone in for my second ultrasound. So it just goes really fast. She's got like 22 follicles. I don't expect to have that many. If the 7 I have continue, I'll be okay with that. I'll be okay with that. And, you know, I know it goes down. So if I have 7, and then how many will actually fertilize, and then how many will get to day 3, how many will get to day 5. Do you guys know about that? Because I've been reading about that. The doctor mentioned it a little bit when she was talking about the FET. But it may not fertilize, even though we're doing ICSI. May not fertilize. So that's the first step. Well, first is the eggs have to come out. There have to be follicles. That's one. Eggs in the follicles. Ovum. There have to be ovum in the follicles. Then they've got to get them out. Then they only want to see the ones that are mature. They try to gauge how many are going to be mature by the E2, right? So if I have 7, we'll say 7 times 150. Where's my phone? We'll do this now. I'm just going to do the calculator really fast. So if I have 7 times 150, we want the E2 to be about 150 per folly. That means at the end of it all, I should have E2 that is 1050. During that time, they will also monitor the size. So they want it to be between 18 and 20. That's what we were talking about before, not having one that's too dominant or becoming a dominant follicle. If that one starts to grow out first and it's like a 22, they're going to have to trigger me because that one is going to blow. There she blows. It's going to break through the follicles. I don't know why I keep saying that, guys. There she blows. Anyway, it's going to break through. And that's when ovulation happens, and so it puts everything else at risk. So to try to reduce that risk, mitigate that risk, if it started to get that big, they will have me trigger and they will schedule the retrieval. So it's all kind of a dance at this point. We want to keep them between 18 and 20. We want to check the E2 so that it's about 150 per follicle because that indicates there is a mature ovum inside of there. And then timing it all out. Remember when Nurse Katrina said, so that they don't get ahead of each other, so they all are about the same. You want them all to kind of rise together. And so it's going to be a matter of tomorrow. How are the 7 growing? Are they about the same size, or is one taking the lead and taking over? What does the E2 look like? Does it indicate that there are actually ovums in there that are developing? Because you could have some that are not developing, that will not be mature, etc. So then once we get to that place, we're going to take them out and they're going to analyze them to see if they are mature. Of the ones that are mature, so say, you know, in a case, I'm not going to use my numbers because I'm not going to speak any negativity into existence, potentially. So let's just say there's someone who has 30 eggs retrieved. This young 27-year-old woman who, has got everything going. Maybe she doesn't have her tubes or something's happening, but she's got 30 eggs released. 30 eggs retrieved. They look at them all, and let's say only 20 are mature. So that's 10 that are gone because they're not mature. So they're not in the running anymore. We've got 20 now. They fertilize them. Let's just say they're doing ICSI. They can do, ICSI is intracytoplasmic something. It's where they take one sperm, one great looking sperm, and inject it into one ovum, which is what they're going to do with me. The other one is they put all of the eggs and a lot of the sperm in a dish, and they let them go at it and let the sperm try to penetrate it on its own. Because I'm older, ICSI is good because it's going to help break through the pellicunda. I think I'm saying that right. I'll insert the word down here. It's pellicunda, pellicudi. Anyway, the outer shell of the ovum. It's going to help it break through. It's thicker as we get older, which makes it harder to fertilize, right? So they're going to help out. The embryologist is going to break through with that one great looking sperm. Doesn't mean it will fertilize though, but it gives it a better chance. So then they wait to confirm fertilization. Fertilization is that those two separate entities have now become one. All of our chromosomes, all of my chromosomes, and all of the donor chromosomes are all together and have created honking horns. No, have created a new human being. That is where divinity comes in, right? Whatever your beliefs are, something divine has happened for those two to unite and become something new. So now they're going to give you a fertilization report. So where were we? 20? We had 20. So we put them in the dish, did the ICSI. Let's just say all but 2 fertilized. So now we have 18. 18 fertilized eggs, which are now, the embryologist and everyone else is going to call them embryos. There's a very technical reason why they're not yet embryos, but you'll see it in the community. They call them embryos. They call them babies. There is a developmental stage when they technically, scientifically become embryos, but for the sake of our conversation, they're embryos now. So we've got 18 embryos. They want to watch them grow. They have to divide at a certain rate. And so they look at them again. They're going to let them rest. You don't want to touch them too much. So the standard is to look at them at day 3, which is why you'll hear like day 3. They'll say day 3 blastocyst. It's not technically a blastocyst yet. It usually doesn't become a blastocyst till day 5. It's really a marula at this point, but you want to see that division. And this is happening the same as in your own body if you're not doing IVF. When it gets fertilized, it's dividing. It's not even in the uterus yet, which is why you normally shouldn't test until at 6 days after you've honked on your horn. I don't know why that's a New York thing. In California, we don't do that. That car is not going anywhere. There is no need to keep honking like that. Anyway, in your own body, it's fertilized and doing the same thing. That's when it's traveling down the fallopian tube and into the uterus. Those first 6 days after ovulation, it's nowhere near the uterus. Which is why, in this case, scientifically, they've put it outside. So what would be happening in my fallopian tubes are now happening in this petri dish in the lab. They've fertilized. We've gotten to day 3. Let's say 2 more did not make it in our scenario. So now we have 16. 16 left. We're watching them. We're hoping, praying. They're going to leave them alone for another 2 days. They will come back on day 5 and look to see how many blastocysts are there. Let's not speak anything negative into existence. Let's say all 16 are there. All 16 are there and they're fine. At some point they've done some sort of grading, told me what it is, what it isn't, they looked at the outside, they look at the appearance. The grading is all based on how they look. Because we're not dissecting anything, we're not taking it apart. So we can't analyze like how many chromosomes, none of that's being done. It's all of them looking through a microscope. How fluffy it is, how the exterior looks, how it's separated, how it's not separated. Now keep in mind what they're seeing in the dish, part of that will become the baby, part of that will become the placenta, which is why the PGS testing is controversial because you don't know when you take those cells if it's the placenta or the baby. And it has been shown that those tests And actually, they're not even called tests. They're screening. It's called PGS, pre-genetic screening. And as with any screening, there is a large opportunity for failure. It's just like when you do, if you do screenings in pregnancy to see if there's a likelihood for Down syndrome or etc. It's not as conclusive as if you do a test, right? A screening is just to rule out based on, how do I explain it? Based on very general concepts, let's just say it that way, keep it moving. Based on very general concepts, they're screening in or screening out and saying move forward or not. Based on that, they will tell you, based on what we've taken, the screening results are, and they've taken a cell out of an entity that has 5 cells, or 6 cells, or 8 cells, thereabouts. And they can't tell if that cell is the baby or the placenta, as I said. So that's why I'm not doing PGS testing, among other things. I just want my baby back inside of me. I also want them to stop honking, but that's probably not going to happen. Let's go into the kitchen and see what I can do with this oven and what I got going on. Although I'm not well lit, am I? Okay. We're in the kitchen. I did the dishes earlier, so they're drying over here. I'm going to, that's hot because the oven is on, I'm going to put the potatoes in and mix them up with rosemary. Probably not a good idea to do that with one hand, but oh well. Okay. Where was I? We're down to 16. They look great. We figured out the grading. We're going to put placement of them back in the uterus based on these grades. Again, grades are all visual. Here are those asparagus. Can you see that? Light. Those are like the skinny ones. I'm gonna do those in a pan right after I do the potatoes. I'm gonna start the potatoes and I'll do the chicken and the asparagus and potatoes. I've got the rosemary. Okay. I'll come back to that. So we've got 16. We'll pick the best ones based on this external criteria, this visual grading, and then we'll figure out to put them in or not. Like, that's best case scenario. There are obviously scenarios where there are no eggs. There are scenarios where they don't fertilize. There are scenarios where they fertilize, they don't grow. Scenarios where there are eggs, they fertilize, they grow, they stop growing, they don't make it to day 5. All of those things happen, they make it to day 5, they put them back, they don't grow. So there's a lot that can happen between now and then. I'm trying not to be overwhelmed, crazy, or consumed. Easier said than done. It's hard because I understand the risk, I understand the realities. There's so many people hitting me up in DMs on Instagram, it's crazy. I don't think sometimes people realize how their words can cause anxiety. So I try to take it in stride because I think they're coming from a good place, but like there's a couple of people who are hitting me up hard about donor eggs and like they wish they would have listened. And I don't know if they're venting, sharing, reminiscing, or if they're inferring that I should do that. How I sleep at night is, I've said this a million times, I have to do what will make me continue to be a woman with no regrets, right? I will regret it, always, if I don't try this. If I don't try with my own eggs, I will regret it. And so, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to have a situation of, I should've, would've, could've. Either way, I should've, would've, could've listened to the doctor, my first RE, and just done donor eggs. I'm not gonna have a situation where I could've, would've, should've tried with my own eggs and I didn't. I'm going to do what feels comfortable. I am doing what feels comfortable for me. I don't judge anyone for what they choose for themselves. I don't. And so I hope the ladies who are sharing this are not projecting onto me. I hope they're not projecting onto me. I hope they're just sharing what their experience is. But it does make me a little anxious to hear it over and over again and to see other ladies who are not having successful egg retrievals or who are not yielding as many as they thought, etc., etc. However, that's not in my control. It's something I can change. There's nothing I can do. I've done everything I can to prepare myself. I fully believe like losing the weight helped lower my FSH, like beyond the patch, beyond everything else. That was the lowest FSH I've had to date. 5.5 was amazing. The lowest I had before that was 7.7, and that was after a month of like working my butt off. But I did remember my weight was lower then, and so the weight that I am now is the weight that I was when I had that lower FSH. So I think that played a factor into it. I feel like I've eaten really well, especially the last 60 days. I have done exercise. Like, I am in the best fertility shape of my life. And so we'll see. Again, there's divinity involved, and so I pray. I stay on my knees. I am like, let God's will be done. And I know so many of you are praying for me and with me. I am also praying for you and with you. I thank you so much. I love you guys so much. I don't know if I've said that recently so much. This would be a much lonelier, scarier journey without you. So thank you for rocking with me. Thank you for sharing your stories with me as well. All right, let me get this chicken going. I don't want to be up all night. I will see if I can get Cheyenne to come and have dinner with all of us, and we'll talk to her for a little bit, and then we'll do my shots, and we'll be off to bed. Bye, ladies.
I see the crystal raindrops fall, and the beauty of it all is when the sun comes shining through.